Welcome to this explainer. I am so thrilled you're here. Today, we are setting the stage for a truly immersive, honestly cinematic journey into the origins and the incredible evolution of a phenomenon that has literally swept across the globe. We're going to explore the soul of tango. We'll be looking at how this art form emerged from a massive collision of cultures and how it continues to just totally captivate the world today. If you're looking to understand the mechanics, the history, and the profound human emotion behind the music and the movement, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this with a quote that perfectly captures our entire topic. Tango is more than a dance. It is a language of longing, resilience, and connection. You know, when we think of tango, it's so easy to just picture the dramatic poses, the fancy footwork, or a famous scene from a movie. But to truly understand it, we have to look at it as a living, breathing entity born purely from human emotion and the human experience. It's a language crafted by people who desperately needed to speak to one another, often across huge cultural divides.
Which brings us to Section 1, Origins in the Port, the melting pot of the Rio de la Plata.
To really understand this melting pot, we have to picture the gritty, atmospheric, incredibly crowded port districts of the late 19th century in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Montevideo, Uruguay. Ships were constantly arriving, bringing waves of immigrants who were seeking opportunity, seeking a completely new life. And as these diverse groups settled into these working-class neighborhoods, their cultures and their music inevitably collided with indigenous influences and local traditions. That collision gave us a fascinating mix of musical ingredients. You've got milonga rhythms, the Cuban habanera, refined European salon music, incredibly rich African rhythmic traditions, and local folk melodies. In modest cafes, crowded courtyards, and local dance halls, all these distinct sounds gradually merged together. It's so fascinating because none of these groups set out to invent a global phenomenon. They were simply sharing their heritage, and in doing so, they formed a brand new cultural language that belonged entirely to the Rio de la Plata.
Moving right along to Section 2, the sound of tango, dramatic pauses and emotional tension. From those early roots, a highly visceral cinematic soundscape took shape. Classic tango is built entirely around these expressive melodies that can swing instantly from the most intimate, quiet whispers to wildly passionate, intense crescendos. The music is designed to literally keep you on the edge of your seat, mirroring the unpredictability of life itself. Now, what's really interesting here is the core of that sound, the bandoneón. If you've ever heard a traditional tango, for sure you have heard this instrument. It looks a bit like a concertina, and ironically enough, it was originally brought over by German immigrants. Yet it found its true calling in South America, becoming the foundational soul, the unmistakable, mournful voice of traditional tango. It provides that deep, breathing, almost crying sound that gives the music its heavy emotional weight.
Of course, the bandoneón doesn't work alone. The traditional tango ensemble is a very specific acoustic combination. Alongside the bandoneón, you have violins, a piano, a double bass, and occasionally a guitar. This precise mix of instruments is exactly what builds those sweeping, expressive melodies. The sharp pluck of the double bass, paired with the soaring violins and that heavy bandoneón, creates that signature emotional tension that is just so unique to the genre. It's basically a perfectly balanced acoustic machine designed to make you feel something profound.
Section 3, a dance of connection, movement as a conversation.
Here's the thing about authentic tango. It is not about rigid, pre-planned choreography. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a completely improvisational dialogue between two people in real time. Let's look at exactly how that works. It starts with balance and posture, establishing your own presence. Then comes the embrace, how you connect with your partner. Finally, improvisation. These partners aren't just memorizing a routine, they are moving through subtle, constant changes in their balance and their embrace. They have to listen just as intensely to each other as they do to the music. Every single dance builds a totally unique conversation based on trust, respect, and shared emotion.
And this brilliantly illustrates a core difference we need to understand: highly choreographed stage performances versus the genuine communication of social tango. While stage tango is incredibly impressive to watch, absolutely stunning, social tango prioritizes raw, unspoken communication over memorized routines. It's not about performing for an audience, it is entirely about connecting with the person right in front of you.
Up next, Section 4, the poetry of life, the soulful lyrics of tango.
Tango isn't just movement. It has incredible narrative depth. The vocal and poetic element of the art form is really what gives tango its deeply human character, and the words matter just as much as the steps or the notes. Through common lyrical themes, you get a vivid, ultra-realistic picture of the working-class struggles and triumphs where tango was born. We're talking about love and heartbreak, nostalgia and hope, the nitty-gritty details of neighborhood life, and the relentless passage of time. These are universal themes. The poets of tango were chronicling the real, everyday lives of the people dancing in those courtyards. The real magic here is this contrast: ordinary people versus extraordinary emotions. Tango lyrics completely elevate everyday citizens. You don't need to be royalty or some mythical hero to experience profound, cinematic emotional arcs. A factory worker, an immigrant missing home, a broken-hearted cafe patron. Tango validates their feelings, turning their ordinary lives into literal epic poetry. Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds a global cultural heritage, from port districts to the world stage. What started in modest working-class neighborhoods was honestly far too powerful to remain a local secret. Tango was about to explode out of South America. By the early 20th century, tango was already spreading across Europe, North America, and Asia. The idea spread like wildfire. Then, in the mid-20th century, we get legendary performers like Carlos Gardel. His sheer star power popularized tango massively through global recordings and film. Fast forward to the late 20th century, and you have the brilliant composer Astor Piazzolla. He introduces Nuevo Tango, a brilliant fusion that brings in jazz and classical influences without ever losing the emotional depth of the tradition.
So, the crucial point is that this momentum led to a massive milestone. In 2009, UNESCO officially recognized tango as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. They honored both Argentina and Uruguay for preserving this remarkable cultural tradition. This wasn't just an award, it completely cemented tango's status. It proved that this isn't merely a regional dance style, but an immortal, universal treasure that belongs to the human story.
Tango reminds us that beauty often emerges from struggle. That perfectly summarizes the journey we've just taken together. Just think about where this started. Marginalized immigrants in crowded port cities facing intense hardship and displacement somehow managed to take their shared struggles and forge them into a breathtaking celebration of human resilience. The beauty of tango is absolutely inextricably linked to the hardships of the people who created it.
And that brings us to why this matters today, perhaps more than ever. Tango celebrates connection in a heavily disconnected world. It invites people to slow down, to listen closely, and to communicate without speaking a single word. Whether you're sitting in a grand concert hall, stepping onto the floor in a local neighborhood milonga, or even just listening to a recording right in your living room, tango acts as a powerful antidote to digital isolation. It forces us to be present with one another.
Which leaves us with a question to ponder. In our increasingly disconnected world, how will you find your rhythm and connect with others? Tango proves that every culture has a rhythm, and every single melody has a story worth sharing. I really hope this explainer has inspired you to listen a little closer to the music and the people around you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep exploring the incredible cultural heritage our world has to offer.